Y'all the clearest representation of what New York City is, and you guys are what makes hip hop great, and what makes hip hop last.
So I salute hip hop and everybody from y'all, the informatives of the information station, as I was saying.
Yeah.
You know, from you guys having interviews, because without you guys, nobody gets to have the identity of the artist. Continue doing your thing, man. Keep these platforms going.
Changing of the hip hop gods. Y'all are the gods. Let's make it happen, y'all. Okay, cool.
Welcome everybody to Changing of the Hip Hop Guards podcast. I'm your host, the journalist Sincere. That's my partner, Uncle E. And tonight we have one of Midwest's finest, Copywrite. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Salute. Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. I'm a fan of the podcast.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got a new project out, but before we get to that, we want to take it back, catch up all the fans, all the new people on who Copywrite is. For those who may not know, can you take us back to where you're born and raised?
Yeah, east side of Columbus, Ohio. East side of Columbus, Ohio, Livingston and Elaine Road and shit. Midwest. I kind of grew up a little bit in Florida, like from like 1st to 5th grade. I was living out in Coral Springs and shit. But moved back here around 91, and that's a little bit after I got into hip hop, and that's when I started emceeing accidentally. But, you know, just a cat from the Midwest. I'm from a crew called Megahertz. Rest in peace, Kamuteo. Shout out RJD2. Shout out Tage Future. Shout out Jakarta Motormouth. So, yeah, man.
No doubt. Take us back a little bit to before you got into music. What was some of your hobbies and interests?
Shit, dude. I wanted to be a cartoonist. So I've been drawing like self-taught since I was like 3. And I that's where I wanted to go. Like if I had the academic discipline, I may have went that route. You know what I'm saying? But also at the same time, when I fell in love with hip hop and I started writing raps, I started neglecting drawing. So I don't know, even with the academics, I feel like drawing would have taken a backseat to MC, to rapping.
Take us back to some of your early musical influences before you got into hip hop, of course. Who were you listening to?
Be honest, man. First hip hop album that I listened to, like in the headphones going to sleep and shit, was He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. That's the first album that made me fall in love with, like, solidified with like the first good album I found. Because before then I was like just catching shit here and there on the radio. But Scarface and the Ghetto Boys were one of my early influences. You know, KMD. I had Mr. Hood in middle school, man. I saw the Who Me video. Yep, yeah, I was on it early, man. I caught the video and I loved it, and then I bought the album and I loved the album. And then who else, man? This is before I was emceeing though. This is just like all the shit. Like being in the Midwest, I would listen to shit on the West Coast and shit on the East Coast and shit on the Midwest. Like you kind of don't have a thing where you're biased against any coast because we're right in the middle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was all over the place, man. I mean, honestly, I like 2 Hype a lot. I had 2 Hype when it came out and shit. Like that was when I was like first getting into hip hop, before I found like the more like realer shit. Like then I found Fear of a Black Planet, and then that's when I found like a Low End and shit. And that's when I got into Grip It on that other level and Mr. Hood and shit like that. So that's what I was listening to around that time. I mean, honestly, I had MC Lights. Which one had Cha 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 on it? I had that shit. I had Mama Said Knock You Out. I had a lot of shit. DOC, Digital Underground, you know what I'm saying? Sex Package. So it was a lot, man. It was a lot of different shit from a lot of different places. It's like a melting pot of shit.
Yeah, can you do me a favor? Sometimes when we have guests on, I like to have them paint the picture a little bit as far as what was going on in their area at the time, like the time that you're describing right now. But like in Ohio, what was the scene? Like, was there a lot of places that you could go to that would play hip hop music? Was there any graph going on, breakdance? Like, what was the scene going out there?
There was, all right. So when I was growing up, like I didn't know there was a local scene till later. We had a public access show, so we had graph writers, we had MCs, we had DJs. We had a lot of like really solid acts and shit. Like, so it was shit going on, but it was a small knit community. It was you'd see all the same people. We used to have an open mic. It was a record store called the Groove Shack. So they would have an open mic. I want to say it's like the first Saturday of every month. So we would all line, like, that's the first open mic I went to. I got in my first battles at that spot. That's where I learned how to MC and really project my voice and really deliver my shit, like, at that spot. So yeah, but it's I mean, there's a lot of real good graph writers out here, man. To be honest with you, a lot of real sick graph writers. When I found out about the local hip hop scene, it was maybe second generation. There was like one generation of older cats that were doing shit, and then it was like me and Camus and Tage and shit. And we were younger at the time, you know what I'm saying? And they were younger at the time too, but they were the ones before us that were doing shit. Like I saw there's a group called Spirit, right? It's the first group locally that had like a video and shit. I seen it, I caught their video on public access, and I didn't know if it was like a New York public access or what, because I didn't know we had shit like that in Columbus. So I mean, there's a lot of shit out here. But it's cats from Jersey that are in that group. It's a lot of cats that migrated from the East Coast that came to Columbus and kind of like were doing shit. So there was a lot of real shit going on here. There was DJ battles. Like, I grew up immersed in the culture. I grew up with a lot of DJ friends, a lot of b-boy friends, a lot of graph writer friends. You know what I'm saying? Me and Camus tried to write, but we didn't have the patience to put the time in to get nice at it. But there's a lot of dope shit here, man. Like, I know it's way later in the game, but Mixmaster Ice from UTFO stays out.
Right.
There's a lot of cats out here that are solid and shit, like schooled us to the ways of what to do, what not to do. Our mentor Intellect basically taught me and Camus how to have delivery, taught us both like how to make beats and shit, just taught us a lot of shit, schooled us on hip hop, schooled us on Ultra Mag, shit that we didn't know about, just schooled us on all this shit, just found out about, you know what I'm saying, that Said G really produced Critical Beat Down and shit like that. Just found out all the jewels that you need to know so that you don't get caught out there looking like a fucking toy someday. But it was out here. The culture was definitely out here. We had a hip hop expo that was kind of dope. It's a lot of shit out here. It's definitely, put it like this. At this point though, I know you were saying like how we grew up though, how the area was, but at this point, it's kind of all fizzled down to where the generation that was there now are like adults that have kids and lives and shit. Either they do it now or they don't. But it was live back then. It was a lot of dope shit. It's still live now for the younger generation, but for their thing, you know what I'm saying? But it was live, man. It was a lot of real shit. It was a lot of dope battles. It was a lot of dope DJ battles. There was a lot of cats here who were in the DMC battles, the DMC DJ battles. There's a lot of dope. There's a lot of shit, man. A lot of local hometown heroes that did a lot of dope shit.
Dope. Very dope.
At what point did you start taking writing very serious? I mean, was writing your first foray into hip hop? A lot of MCs would say they were DJs or, you know, got into b-boying. What for you personally was your first foray into hip hop?
It was definitely writing. It was rapping. We started freestyling and we recorded it on a boombox and shit, like just doing a beat and just freestyling, and people in the neighborhood heard it and they gassed us up basically. I know it wasn't good. It couldn't have been good, but they gassed us up. I was like 14 and shit, and it was me, Jakai's cousin Terrell, and or Jakai's brother Terrell and Jakai's cousin Lee. And we were like, let's try to, and our brother Dwight, rest in peace. And we were like, let's try to write something. So we tried to write something, and we had the basics. We weren't great, but we just had the basics. We weren't off beat and shit like that. And from there, we kind of like started picking up little shit here and there, like how to rhyme, compound syllables and shit. Early 91 and shit. But we didn't say multis. Nobody said that shit till the internet. Like that's some internet shit. I just called it matching. I just called it matching up. Like matching up the shit, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then and that was it. I didn't have my own style for a long time. I would bite. You know how when you first start, you kind of like bite people. Sometimes you bite them on purpose. Like I tried to sit down and write a verse like Nas. I remember when Illmatic came out, and I just couldn't even finish it. It was bullshit. I was like, I can't do this style. You know what I mean? This ain't my style. I tried to write one like Das Effects when Dead Serious was out, and I was like, this shit is corny, man. This shit don't sound right. And I'm like a 14-year-old kid, 13-year-old on the couch trying to write these raps and just trying trying to be like, all right, let me try this style. Like you don't have your own style for a while when you first start. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what I was doing for a while, but I just kept at it and shit. And then after a while, you spend time with it. You learn tricks. You learn like you could put a pause here. Wherever you put a pause at, you could change up the whole thing. One pause could shift everything over. So you just crack all these codes and figure out how to work out the flow, how you like it. And you're like, oh shit, I can really, you know what I'm saying? Like you just find all the secrets and shit with the time you spend. So it just got to that point to where I really fell in love with writing. But I would spend like a month writing one verse back in those days. I would really want it to be, I'd spend a month on it. I would really take my time with the shit. Know every new avenue I'm gonna go to next and shit like that, and spend my time with it to make it different than the last shit I wrote. I used to really be on that.
Right. So what about right now though, right? Like there's plenty of artists, like great artists that we all love, who say, you know, that they're like a combination, like Pun, right? He used to be like Cool G Rap, like he was a mix of all these greats. Do you feel like you have sort of a mixture or of MCs that maybe you looked up to, that you might have grabbed like a little bit of something from each?
Yeah, for sure. I got syllables, rhyming and syllables from hieroglyphics, like really learn how they broke it down a whole lot, and really like, you know, hung on the edge of it and shit. Like I learned a lot of that from them. I learned a lot of technicality shit from Pharoah Monch and being a big Organized Confusion fan. I learned a lot of shit from a lot of people, man. But if I had to try to sell my style or pitch my style to somebody, I would say like, I don't know, man. I would say like Big L, Sean Price, and someone like Doom for real, because I like to put humor in my shit. I've always liked to put shit in my stuff too that isn't for everybody, but if you know what I'm talking about, it really hits you hard because the detail's right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But KRS too, though. I'm leaving out a lot of people, man. People like KRS. For me, KRS used to be my favorite. Watching KRS live for the first time, I reevaluated myself as an MC. For real, man. I never seen somebody just like so loose and comfortable on stage and just rock the shit so crazy and have everybody wilding out. Like it's so crazy, man. Like him and Black Thought are two of the best live, man. You know?
Yeah. I definitely gotta agree with you on those two.
Shit, man.
Earlier on, were you pursuing the solo thing, or did the group thing come first?
The group thing, like I never wanted to be a solo artist. What it was Mighty Mai from High and the Mighty. Shout out to High and the Mighty. Shout out to Mighty Mai. They really helped me out with a lot of shit, man. They wanted to work with me as a solo artist, but not so much the group. It's always a lot of shit with groups, and it's a lot of different people that you had to get okay with. He heard my verse on World Premiere, and he asked Cage to get in contact with me. And Cage got my number from Bobbito. Bobbito gave him my number. Cage called my house. I lived with my mom at the time, you know, as a kid, whatever, like 19, 18, some shit. She gave him Jakai's number, and he called over there, and that's how we, you know what I'm saying, linked up and shit. But it was just Mighty Mai wanted to work with me and nobody else really. I tried to push the megahertz shit, and it just wasn't the time for it. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't trying to mess with it. I tried to put Dead Ringer out on Eastern Conference. He wasn't fucking with it. So it wasn't nothing personal. I just think that he had a different lineup for shit going on, and it wasn't the time for all these other shit I was trying to introduce. And he just wanted to work with me. So we got it. You know what I'm saying? We always had a pact that whoever would get their foot in the door would get their foot in the door no matter what. So, you know what I'm saying? I included the whole crew always on all my albums and shit. That's how I always did shit. You know, I try to get my people on to the best of my ability.
Right. If we can hop back just a little bit to 1995, meeting and forming the Megahertz. Can you go back and take us back to that moment?
Yeah, man. So Megahertz. So basically, Megahertz was a break off of a group called Opium Prodigy, right? And that was basically people in the group went separate ways. It kind of split in two. Some people stayed Opium Prodigy. The others formed Megahertz, and that was like me and Camus and a bunch of other people that aren't in the version of the group that ended up coming out. But basically, that was it. Basically, what happened was some people stopped rapping like that, and it ended up just being me and Camus. And our DJ flaked on us at a show one night, and RJ was like there as just doing some DJ shit. We asked him what he DJ for us. He said, yeah. And then we kind of clicked. And then Tage we put in the group after. Like we basically met him later and thought he was so ill that we had to have him in the crew. So that's basically it. And Jakai was from Opium Prodigy. That's the first dude I started rapping with. So once our little beef or whatever was over, then we linked back up again and put him back in megahertz and shit.
So,
yeah,
so you guys shopped a demo, and did you end up at Fondulum off of that demo?
Yeah. So check it. So a local DJ named DJ True Skills, he had a record. It was a Bobito and Stretch radio show, 89 Tech 9, all these different sessions, but it was pressed up on vinyl, right? It had the Big L shit. It had Q-Tip and Mad Skill shit. It had Wu-Tang. It had Method Man doing like most of the verses off to Cal before it was out, all sorts of shit. So just knowing like what Bob liked, what Bobito liked, we figured we would have a good shot because we knew he liked Company Flow. We knew he was big on Organized Confusion, and our shit was kind of like in that vein, like our megahertz shit kind of was. You know what I'm saying? So we thought that we'd have a good shot. So our manager at the time, Nelson Morales, he called Bobito. Bobito said, "Come through." This is like pre-internet and shit like that, right? So we drove all the way to Philly, Footworks in Philly, to drop off a CD demo. And then we went to Footworks in Manhattan and dropped off a CD demo. And we waited like a month. We didn't hear shit. Bob called us back, said he played it on the radio. He played World Premiere on the radio, and then he wanted to put out a single. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know how picky Bob is with music, but right. Trying to put out that single, man, that second B-sides are always hard with Bob because he don't like nothing. Like he'll love the one thing, then he'll be like, I just want it. So you'll do like 6 songs before he finds something that he likes. That's how it was with all the Fondulum singles, for real.
Right.
But that when we got on with Bob with Fondulum, that was 97, 98 is when it came out. But it may have been right at the end of 97, but it also may have just been 98. But I remember he was telling us that Zev Love X was coming back out as Doom. And I was very excited about that shit. Like, sir, like rest in peace, Doom. I'm a huge fan, man. I'm a huge Cam D fan, man. Right. And a huge Doom fan. And yeah, man. So that shit was crazy to me, man. It was dope. Fondulum was bittersweet, right? Because Fondulum had the dopest rep and a great roster, but like there were no stickers and there's no cover art for your single and shit. So you show it to people, you're proud of it, and they're like, how do we even know that that's your single? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was but I appreciate like Bobito, for real, all jokes aside, did a lot for us and got us in the game and really gave us our first start. So I have to thank Bobito, forever indebted to Cool Bob Love.
Yeah. That's the man. That's the man.
Yeah, Bobby Bongos, man.
So you never got a chance to cross paths with Doom by any chance, or nah?
Nah, he knew it. Cage knew Doom. He told me about how he got his hair cut by Sub before. Rest in peace, Sub. Sub Rock.
Yeah.
But no, me never. Nah, no. L knew Doom. You know what I'm saying? Everybody I was around knew Doom, but I never got the chance. Nope. Nope. And then when I think about it, not to cut you off, but when I think about it in hindsight, I'm like, damn, like why didn't I try to ask? I'm not gonna lie, somebody said they knew Doom once and I paid $400 and they kind of like just scammed me for the $400 and shit. They said that they were gonna get a Doom verse and shit. I think I went 400 and my man went 400 and we got ripped off and shit. But that's something else. That has nothing to do with this.
That might have been Doom who did it. Now, you never know. Nah.
Yo, what if that was the interaction?
I'm joking.
How amazing would that be, though, if that was the interaction I had?
That still would be dope, though, right?
Yeah, he picked me for $400. Yeah, Western Union. Yeah. I mean, it would be dope. Honestly, I'm gonna be real, man. I know everybody changes when people pass away. But when Doom did the imposter shit at the time, because I'm a big Andy Kaufman fan, right? I like, bro. That shit was legendary to me at the time. That shit was hilarious, bro.
I give you a funny one, and then we'll keep going. But you know that there's a picture that circulates around that's supposed to be Doom. You know what I mean? Like it's got the mask. And it's not Doom. like it's one of the imposters. You know, it's an imposter, but he got the mask on.
Right.
You know that there's cats that got tattoos of that picture.
Oh shit! They got the
bot Doom as a tattoo.
Yo, you got to show me the picture. Like, send me.
I think I have it.
Yeah.
Was it on the Elemental magazine cover?
I have it. And what happened was no lie, I think actually somebody posted the tattoo, and I think I might have like reshared it because it was cool. And somebody that really knows was like, yo, that's a cool tattoo of the bot. So I was like, oh shit. I didn't even really pay attention to that shit, to be honest with you, until the person pointed it out. But yeah, man.
Yo, like that's a cool tattoo of Daryl wearing some guy named Daryl wearing the Doom mask.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, now real quick, so we're talking about megahertz, and this is like 97, 98, and all that. But then I also noticed that you were, the group The Weathermen.
Right. So,
and that's kind of like around the same time, right? Like 98.
Right. So knowing Cage, we were talking and building about like forming a group with a bunch of different people in the underground. So where everybody had different styles, but a lot of it we were thinking like, yo, we'll get everybody's fan base's money because we've got all these different styles, and then we'll we'll cross into everybody else's fans. So it was coming from that aspect too, to be honest. But at the same time, we weren't trying to put raggedy people in the crew. But it started out with me and Cage, right? It was Cage's idea, and then me and him. He brought it to me, and then we both sat with it. He came up with the name, and then we asked, like, automatically with me, megahertz is already involved, right? Because those are my people. I'm always dragging my people in where I go. And then we asked LP, and LP said he was with it because LP knew Cage. So then we asked like Tame later, Cannibal Ox, Breezely Bruin from the Juggernauts. So many people, Masai Bay, Yak Balls, that was Cage's homie. We just try to put together the illest crew of people that we could and shit. And we didn't really get to put out the album that we wanted to. We kind of took shit for granted, and then shit just kind of got it's hard to make a big crew album like that, Well, we made a mixtape though. We made a mixtape and shit that motherfuckers love, but we didn't get to put the crew album together.
That was the New Left?
Conspiracy.
Okay.
Conspiracy. The New Left, I think, is just a song, if I'm not mistaken. But see,
that was on the album that never came out, though, right?
Nah, that was probably like on Cage's album and shit. There's a lot of Weatherman songs that are on like LP or Cage's album and shit, or like shit that leaked and shit.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, what was the Table Scraps compilation?
That was basically us putting out all of our vinyl singles and demo out, just something for the fans and shit while we were working on our albums.
So
yeah, but a lot of fans really fuck with that thing. I mean, we don't consider it an album, but I love that the fans fuck with it, nonetheless. If they want to call it an album, you can call it an album.
At any point, is there a bidding war for copyright?
The Rockefeller shit, a little bit. Like when the Rockefeller shit happened, Just Blaze wanted to sign me. Chuck at Baby Grand wanted to sign me, and I'm gonna say that's it. Yeah, that's it.
So you talked a little bit.
Just a small bidding war, nothing too crazy.
Right. You talked a little bit about the megahertz and Weatherman. At what point does Copywrite decide to go solo?
Well, see, when I went solo with the first album, it was only because Mighty Mai wanted to work with only me. So you know what I'm saying? So that's why I did that. And then while I was doing solo shit, everybody else started doing solo shit, and then everybody was having fun doing solo shit. Like, we kind of took time for granted and shit, but we were just like RJ had an album that he was supposed to put out on a label called Bomb Records. It was like a Bay Area hip hop label, and that faltered through. So I got his demo over to LP and shit, and he had that before, kind of like he was working on that as he was just starting to be our DJ. So I think everybody always had solo aspirations or whatever, and we just kind of got caught up because we had opportunities to do solo shit, you know what I'm saying? And we just kind of like ran to it.
Right. So at what point did you land at Raucous for a minute?
So that was the single that Mighty My, when Mighty My told Cage he wanted to work with me, that's the songs that we were working on went to Raucous. And we were trying to get my whole album there, but they're Jared and the other guy was really, you know, picky and shit, had a full roster. But I was cool with Eastern Conference, you know what I'm saying? Like they had a dope history of shit. They had just put out the B-Boy document shit with Mad Skills and Most, you know what I'm saying? Like had the fly chick from Bronx Tale in the video and shit. So I was with it, man. They were really they took me on the road with them. My first big tour was with MOP and with High and Mighty, you know what I'm saying? So they showed me a lot in the game, you know, showed me the whole like UK and shit. Like they helped me out a lot in the beginning, man, for real. What were some of your best memories on that tour? Which one? The MOP one? Yeah. The MOP was hilarious because like every night before the show, I would go out there and dap up Lil Fame, and he thought I was a fan and shit. I'd be like, "Yo, dope set." He's like, "Oh, good looks. Thanks for coming out." And like, after the second night, I was like, "All right, I'm not doing this no more." But it was dope as fuck to watch them perform. Like they were incredible to perform. I just learned a lot of shit, man. Learn how to show the fans love, how to not like be behind the stage the whole time and shit. Like sometimes you can't do that. There's a time and a place for it. But as a new guy, the time was for me to be out there. Like I was out there rhyming and shit and showing love because my mind was blowing that I was on tour. You know what I'm saying? Like I kid from the Midwest who loves hip hop and gets this opportunity to go rap and shit. The one thing I love and the one thing that I'm good at really and focus on my energy on. The shit was like a dream come true, man. It was super dope, man.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like just like you said, coming from Ohio, now you've mentioned a lot of names that you know people are familiar with, great artists. You know, first I want to ask you exactly how did it feel, you know, meeting all of these artists, working with some of them, and not only that, what do you think specifically was it about you that caught the attention and wanted all these other people to work with you?
Man, at the time, I'm not going to say I'm not hungry now, but at the time, I had this intense fucking hunger and like a little bit of anger when I rhymed and shit. And I don't know, man. I just think it was a combination of my punchlines and my delivery and shit, you know? And I think I was just doing something. I wasn't doing nothing different. I mean, all I'm doing is what all the, you know, so many MCs have done. I was just doing it in my own way, but I feel like I was doing it in an interesting way. And I was doing it. It was at a time, you know how 98 was. It was before it was saturated for underground hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It was like a boom. It ended up becoming saturated, but in the beginning, it was like those groups that were able to build a fan base kind of got really lucky. You know what I'm saying? Because they were able to keep that fan base and kind of make an impression on certain groups. So I don't know what it was, man. I really when I listen to my old shit, I mean, it just sounds like it's a lot of energy, man, and it's like I kind of had a different type of delivery, like a lot of conviction and shit in my voice. My voice kind of sounds like, you know what I'm saying, like bigger than I am and shit. Like it sounds right. Sounds powerful sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of that. And I mean, not just me though, but my crew. It's like the group I came from was incredible. Like Camus and Tage and Jakai, they always had me like I was always trying to write and do stuff to impress them, and they were all so good to me, you know. So I think I was just around so many people, and I had battled for a long time. Like I had battled in Columbus so much that people knew in the city who I was, and a lot of people wouldn't even rap around me. So my ego was big. My delivery had developed from rapping in front of big crowds, and I knew what punchlines would hit. It's like when a stand-up comic goes on the road and shit, they film the special last, and they know all the shit after doing the whole tour 20 dates before. That's why I would spend a month writing these verses, because I would battle with them for a month, and I'd work them out, and I'd know what works, and then I'd go record it in the early megahertz shit. That's the way we used to do it. Like, but you know, you don't have that luxury and shit when you start trying to make like songs and shit, because it takes too long, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's dope.
What was it about Eastern Conference Records that was so appealing that you wanted to sign over there?
They made real hip hop. They let me. They didn't really censor what I was doing. Their track record was real hip hop. You know, they made shit with samples. They were willing to, you know, let me put my music out, man. I had full creative range. It was really dope, man. Shit coming out on vinyl and shit, man. You know, so it was a no-brainer to me, man. You know, they knew what they were doing. So, you know, it wasn't their first release and shit. Because before they linked up with Rawkus, they were putting shit out straight up themselves as Eastern Conference Records. So it was a no-brainer, man. It was a great opportunity for me to learn, you know. I was the one that was really benefiting, I feel like, you know.
Right. 2002, it's time for you to drop your debut album. Can you take us back to the creative process behind the High Exalted?
Yeah, I was basically taking any rhyme I wrote that was dope, any line, any metaphor that was a keeper, and reworking it, anything dope in my past, just to make this presentation and try to make an impact on the hip hop world. I wanted to contribute good hip hop to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to make a release that people weren't going to be disappointed by. I basically was trying to do the shit that I would want an artist to do for me. You know what I'm saying? Make sure the shit's always tight and all that shit. And this is all subjective. Like, this is, you know, a lot of motherfuckers think I'm trash, and that's fine. But like, I'm just saying this for people that fuck with my music. You know what I'm saying? This was my plan, to just try to make the tightest shit. I was really just trying to show that I could rhyme and keep coming up with punchlines. So the album's not really a well-rounded album to me. You know, June is the only subject matter on the album for real. So if given the chance again, I probably would have did it a little bit different. But, you know, I was just trying to rhyme and show that I could keep doing it, show that I could keep coming up with punchlines and shit.
Right. What was those studio sessions like? What do you remember most about creating that album?
A lot of it was in Mighty Mi's crib in Manhattan on Lexington and shit. It was fun, man. It was I was already used to recording, so it was just great. It was a lot of quick sessions, man. Like, I like to do a lot of takes. I wasn't doing that for that first album. I was kind of just running through each verse and shit, because I was still from that mode. I was still from street battling and having mad verses memorized and shit. So it was fun, man. Most of the album I did out in New York, I did like the 2 last songs in Columbus because 9/11 happened. And, you know, definitely rest in peace to all the people that lost anybody due to 9/11. But we were in New York at the time, and I felt like I didn't know if I could finish my album and get into Manhattan because all that shit happened. They had the whole shit barricaded. Bear in mind, we're in upstate, we're in Middletown. So I was like, well, shit, man. I waited a little bit, and then I dipped out to Columbus. Me and Camus dipped out to Columbus, and I finished the album out there. So I was excited, bro. I mean, this is my first, you know what I'm saying, putting out a rap album, man. I was excited, bro.
Right.
When the world evolved around hip hop at that time, you know, like that's all I gave a fuck about. Like, he breathed and shat hip hop.
When that album dropped, what kind of reviews, what kind of reception did you get from the general public, magazines? What was everybody saying about that album?
It was good reviews, man. A lot of people, I was surprised. A lot of people liked it. The only complaint was that it didn't have that much subject matter. But, you know, I kind of knew that already. But it was dope reviews, man. I was happy, man. Pitchfork gave it a good review, and they don't like anything. Real. I was showing. They were showing a lot of love, man. It was dope.
When that album dropped, what kind of opportunities presented themselves to you? What kind of buzz? I mean, where did you find yourself after that album came out?
So basically, that's when I went on tour with High and Mighty and shit, and basically, man, I was in New York at the time. I was doing a lot of shows. I kind of can't tell what was generated. Like, I was already linked up with Eastern Conference, so I was already had my shit real together with them because they knew everybody in New York. They knew everybody. Like, their shit, they were like on a level where, like, that. This is kind of how some of New York was at that time, like underground shit. Like, it was underground, but it was still like mad industry parties. It was mad, like, it was a lot of dope shit going on. It wasn't like the underground that came to be later, like after all the money and shit got milked out of it. So I was kind of in a good position just being around those cats. You know what I mean? It wasn't any features back then. Cats didn't hit me up for features. That didn't happen till way later. So like maybe like 10 years into it. You know what I'm saying? Except for like people like, you know, I did songs with Vakil from Chicago. Shout out to him. Shout out to Moman. Certain cats that I clicked with, and we just did it on the love. But wasn't nobody trying to pay me for features or nothing until like later and shit.
Gotcha.
So like after the Rock the Mic shit, for real.
In between all of this, because you produce also, right?
Yeah. I produce.
Right.
Yeah.
So at what point did you start messing around with producing?
96. I had a Gemini DJ sampler that I bought from the back of the Source in this, you know, Upstairs Records.
Did you get some of that jewelry that used to be in the back of the Source?
Actually, yeah, I had it. I used to have this nasty ass gold necklace. I had dreadlocks, right? I had dreadlocks. My hair was like the same length when I had dreads, and I had this nasty ass gold chain and shit, and it was turning the back of my neck green, but nobody could see it. And my hair was always in the way and shit, and it wasn't rubbing off down there because it just would be on my shirt and shit. It got too bad, bro. It was bad. I had to get rid of that shit. So I didn't get it from the Source, but I got it. But no, I had the DJ sampler. I had the Gemini DJ sampler with the. It had like one memory bank that was like 8 seconds. Then it had like 4 2-second banks, right, or some shit like that. And I had one and Camus had one, and we would loop. I would loop up a loop on one and then a break on the other, and we would just make tapes and shit. So I was making. Once we met Intellect, we met him at the Groove Shack, like I was saying earlier. He basically taught us a bunch of shit. He worked at the record store. He would just kill. He would house shit at the open mics. He would kill shit. Basically, we all learned from him. Like, so basically, we learned how to dig for loops from him. You know, I started digging through shit, my grandma's records. Only thing I found was a Walter Wanderley record and shit, the same shit that Dilla used for Super MCs, but I had a loop on there too way back in the day. So I just started learning how to dig for loops and shit. Like, and all I could do was dig for loops. So I really tried to make my loop special because it's not like I had equipment yet. I just had the damn DJ sampler. You know what I'm saying? So I just started trying to train my mind how to find samples. And then like Derek was schooling us, Intellect was schooling us. He would be like, oh yeah, me and the Biz, I looped that first. Or there's so much shit that he looped way back in the day. And then like, I would hear the records and I'm like, so it trained me how to find a loop. I'm like, oh, you just find the most special part of the record that you want to hear over and over. But you know what I'm saying? I just taught me how to, and like, you want to find the crazy part that could never happen again, like type shit, but like making it, like, it just taught me how to dig for him. Then I got an MPC from the Fondling money. And then I started making beats and Camus started making beats and shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
Yeah.
I remember at one point in time, me and you had a conversation in person. I believe the story went that you got a hold of some Dilla Beats.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell the viewers how that came about?
Yeah, so when I won the Rock the Mic battle thing, B-High, who is Jay-Z's cousin, and he was Memphis Bleek's manager at the time. He managed Bink and Dilla at the time. So he sent me beats to make demos to and shit. And I recorded what I recorded to, and I asked him, could I put it on a mixtape? And he said, yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was low-key being slick because it was coming out on Nature Sounds. Caroline's did the distribution. So I knew it would be in stores, but I just wanted to use the beat so bad. So basically, I did that shit. I had to smooth shit out with Detroit, Salute to Detroit, House Shoes, Guilty Simpson. You know what I mean? I had to smooth it out with those cats because, you know, that's committing high felony. You know what I'm saying? Within everything. So basically, that's how I got the beats. I got so much Dilla Beat CDs, but I sent. Of course, I still have copies, but I sent the originals back to get them to my Dukes and whatnot. You know what I mean? But I never wanted to make money off it. I just wanted people to hear the 3 tracks I did. But I got a bunch of other beats, yeah. And they're incredible. A lot of them ended up coming out on shit. Some of them never came out with anything. But a lot of them ended up being like the J-Lib shit or like a lot of shit. A lot of Fat Cat shit. A lot of different shit, man. De La shit. Right? Just a bunch of shit, man. Dilla is one of the greatest, man. I was really happy to have the same management as him at that time. And that's when the J-Lib album was out. Because Beehive's name is on the back along with Jonathan Borkin as executive producers. So that was around that era.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That was a dope time, man.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was a long gap in between the debut and the sophomore album. I think 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
What was going on in between that time?
Man, that's when I did a bunch of mixtapes in that time though. Like I did Cruise Control 1. You know what I'm saying? Then I did The Jerk. Then I did EV Money. So I was doing mixtapes instead of doing an album. What it was I was trying to get signed to a major and then do my sophomore. For some reason, I thought like that was going to happen, but I just like you said, wasted a bunch of time before putting out my sophomore. But a lot of people do consider shit like Cruise Control maybe something like a sophomore. You know what I'm saying? Because it came out around the same time.
Gotcha.
Talking about mixtapes, can you talk a little bit about the worst of the best of Copywrite? What was that about?
Oh shit! I was just trying to come up with a name to put a bunch of best ofs, like a clever spin on
the best ofs.
That's all I was trying to do. Yeah. I made that to sell on tour. I was about to go on tour, and I just needed to make a CD real quick. Let me put this together real quick. So yeah, it's just a bunch of random shit. Yeah.
So you said you was using the mixtapes to maybe sign a major. Was anybody looking at you at the time?
I wasn't using them to try to sign a major. I was just holding off on doing a sophomore because I thought for some reason I would be able to finagle. I don't know why I was thinking this, but also, hey, why not, right? Shoot for the stars, right? Why not think it? So I just thought like maybe I could somehow get signed to a major and shit. It was way before the Rock the Mic shit. I remember RJD2 was like, when I was doing Cruise Control, he was like, why don't you just put out an album? And deep down, I know what it was. It was because, no, that is what it was. It's after I won Rock the Mic, I was really trying to get signed to a major because the Beehive shit. That's what it was. You're right.
No doubt. For those who weren't around the Midwest or maybe wasn't in the know, there was a thing called Scribble Jam. Can you take us back to when that originated and some of your best memories of Scribble Jam? And that was in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, that was in Cincinnati. So that was shout out Mr. Dibbs, shout out everybody, Kevin Beecham, everybody involved with Scribble. Scribble was I don't know exactly when it started, but I got hip to it around 98, like because we got booked once we had the Fondle 'Em single and shit. So it's basically a 3 or 4 day event in Cincinnati, Ohio. Used to be in Cincinnati. It doesn't exist anymore. B-boys, DJing, DJ battles, graffiti battles, graffiti exhibits and shit like that. Just cats catching wreck on every single wall around. Just all sorts of shit, man. Like performances, you know what I'm saying? Like Atmosphere did a lot of really dope. Idea did a lot of really dope performances there. RA, a lot of cats, man. It was a really dope ass thing to have such close access to, man. It was kind of like a baby version of a Woodstock, a hip hop version. You know what I'm saying? But with all the actual elements there, not a bunch of just people on stage performing.
Right. Can you take the viewers back to some of the most memorable moments, whether you were there or not, like Eminem battling Juice, or even Doom performed there? What was some of the best memories that you heard or seen during that time?
I got the worst Scribble Jam stories. I didn't get to see Doom. I did not. We left the day before. We left early the day of the Eminem battle. Here's all I got. Bizarre from D12, right? He gave Camus a copy of his EP, Attack of the Weirdos. And on the way home, we listened to it, and that's the first time I heard Eminem. But then we ended up going out to Detroit because of that. Like Bizarre liked our shit. He saw us perform and brought us out there. So we were out there. Shout out D12, rest in peace, Bugs, and we were out there like around the same time like Eminem was first blown up. So that's as cool as my story gets. I don't really have any cool Scribble Jam stories for real. I mean, we performed there and it was dope. I seen Slug do a really dope performance there. But that's about it. I got real drunk at a lot of the Scribble Jams. It was me and Pumpkinhead, rest in peace, and my boy arch rival from Jersey drinking tequila and fucking goddamn Poison Pen. So it's too much liquor, man.
No doubt.
Hey, Pumpkinhead, yeah, man. Shit.
Rest in peace, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
2014, you dropped Murderland with Ciroc. What was that a project all about?
So he's from Baltimore, that's what they call Maryland. So I wanted to call it that and have him do all the beats. And that was right before I had to turn myself in for like 6 months on a assault charge. So I had to go do that. And I was just trying to put out music real quick before I went away so I could have some shit out there. You know what I mean? But it didn't get any promotion. It was on Amalgam Digital. Shout out to Next, who used to own Amalgam and shit. Home of Max B, free Max B, you know what I'm saying? Free the wave, ow. And yeah, I wanted to put out some music before I turned myself in and shit. So that's what that project was.
Right.
Yeah.
2016, you got one of the illest titles for an album ever, Bloodbath and Beyond. What was that? What was that project about? And what was everything going into that at the time?
Thank you.
I love the titles, bro.
I appreciate that, man. That was me doing it not with Man Bites Dog, because I had put out my other albums. A lot of my sophomore was with Man Bites Dog. You know what I mean? Then I tried to do it with some other labels and shit, and I was unhappy with the results. So this was one of the other ones besides Murderland that I did on a different label, and that was just me. That was just. It's kind of got some experimental shit on there a little bit, right? It's kind of got like a little bit of like some songs that have like a little bit of a rock feel to it, like one or two of them. But that was right when I got out of jail. So that was I had verses that I wrote and a bunch of shit that I wrote while I was locked up, and I was just ready to record. I was just eager as fuck to record and shit. So
right,
I couldn't wait to record, man. I couldn't wait to get in front of a mic, man.
Yeah, we're bouncing around a little bit. You got such a lengthy discography. We could be on this till 12 o'clock. So we're just going to kind of pinpoint some of the highlights of your career. What was the Unfinished and Untitled with Planet Asia about?
Oh, shit. Okay. So shout out my brother, Planet Asia. Basically, when I was living in California, we worked on a lot of music together. We were working on an album. I moved back to take care of my grandma because her cancer came back, right? So we didn't get to finish it. But I said, fuck it. After a while, I was like, let's put this out as it is, just because, like, why waste this music? A lot of the mixes on it, you know how, like, you get, like, a temporary mix real quick when you record and shit? A lot of the mixes were cool on it. So we were like, fuck it, let's put it out. And we did it. You know what I'm saying? We want to do a real album. It's kind of like Table Scraps, how I said it was just like not an official thing, but it's kind of what we had at the time. It's like that kind of, but I like the album a lot. I like the group of songs, the body of songs we had so much that I wanted to put it out. I wanted people to hear it. So that's what that was about pretty much. You know what I'm saying? We put it out with Tough Gong Records, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And on vinyl and shit, and shit did well, man. So shout out to Tough Gong and shout out to Planet Asia, man.
Right. You did the mixtape series Cruise Control. You worked with so many guest appearances. I wrote down a few names. If you could take us back to your relationship, how you met, whether you were in studio with them or not, just take us back to give us a visual. Smut Peddlers.
Oh, yeah. Always in the studio with them, yeah. That was fun. That was working with Cage and Eon, you know what I'm saying? Cage with the demon ad libs and Eon with all the fire ass weed. Those were always good sessions, man. So those were dope.
Vakil.
In person in Chicago. Yeah, excellent session. One of my favorite lyricists. So many. Every MC on that track was in the studio that day. On that, it was called Verbal Intercourse. It was originally called Gang Rape, but Vakil was like, I'm not calling that shit gang rape.
Not like, these days. You can probably get away with that back in the day, but not.
Yeah, but also, bro, it's just it ain't the title. Yeah. So yeah, we did that shit in person in Chicago, man. Shout out to Mo Man.
Yes. Razkaz.
I toured with Raz. Is my brother, man. I love Raz to death. Shout out Raz, man. I toured with Raz, but the shit that we recorded was not in person. No. The shit on my mixtape was in person. Him and El Gant were in town for a show and shit, and we recorded. Yeah. But there's some other shit we did though that we did.
Yo, speaking of Razkaz, what you think about his son and his crew?
Coast Contra.
Ooh. Yo,
I was just about to say, shout out Coast Contra.
Man.
They're the
listen, man. There's not too much going on these days that give you that feeling, bro. They man.
Right. Yo, those are two of the So look, the twins are Tidra Moses and Raz's. Yo, that's bro. Yo, they're all fucking.
They're insane, bro.
They're incredible. Yo, they're incredible. They give me, like, I hate to sound like this old ass man, but I'm gonna say it. They give me faith in the future of hip hop. You know, like people that know how to do it and know the history and know what to do and what not to do and just all that shit. Like, because they're gonna make other younger generation cats step their shit up.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way their dad Razcast did.
Right.
The way he made us step our shit up, they're gonna make everybody.
Yo, it's crazy. I mean, when they post stuff, man, like when I even see the people that are comment, like just the last one, you see like Jazzy Jeff talking about like, yo, you guys are the illest. Like, yo, they man, I said, see that feeling, like, right? Me, sincere, like we always talking about like what comes out or artists or that gives you that feeling how we're getting excited right now. Man, listen,
it's very few, and it's crazy when it's natural. Like, because I know exactly what you mean. I was reading their comments, and JID, because they're rapping over JID's beat in the and he's like, yo, you guys aired out my beat. Like everybody, it's like everybody from
everywhere, like
loves him. No matter if you're a gangster, if you're a pop artist, if you're an R&B singer, if you're a hip hop head, no matter what, everybody fucks with them. Yeah, nah, it's so dope, man. That shit is dope. Shout out to Contra, man. I think I'm sort of Corday, which is another really dope dude.
Corday, yeah.
There's some good cats, man. I'm definitely not the type. I mean, I like all type of music, man. I don't discriminate against anything. Like there's shit that people would consider mumble rap that I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a time and a place for different shit. If you like something, you like it. You can't break down. You shouldn't have to break down why you like it, you know, or what you don't like about it. If you like it, you like it.
Exactly. Cannabis.
Cannabis, we did. I've met Cannabis in person. Shout out to Cannabis, man. One of the greatest lyricists of all time. I met him a few times, but the track we did was over the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
J. Raw's hometown friend of yours.
Always in person. Shout out J. Raw's. Look, we have an album right now. Me, J. Raw's, and Nico Is, man.
Ooh.
J. Raw's on all the beats, man. Ooh. Man, shit's crazy, bro. This shit's so crazy. We got like 6 songs already, man. This shit's insane, man. So with Raw's, it's always in person because he's so close. And he's one of my favorite people, man. His vibes are so positive. It's so good to be around him. I know you met Raw's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I met all you guys during the Mood Show at the Happy. What's that place called? The Happy.
Oh, the Double Happiness, right?
Double Happiness.
That was dope. Oh yeah, shit. That was a good. That was dope. Yo, a lot of good shows. A lot of good people came through there. So yeah, we did that in person, man. We always work in person. Me and Raw's.
No doubt. You talked to. Go ahead.
No. I was if I could throw one of the names out there, Rock Marcy.
He's incredible. Shout out Rock.
Did you work with him in person or
on the internet? I know I've met him. You know what I'm saying? But on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because he seems like he's, you know, like not the easiest maybe to get to or to be able to collaborate with.
He's a big fan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just talking shit, man. He did a lot.
He reached out to you.
Nah. He did not. I was just bullshitting. I was totally talking shit. He was working with the label Heavy, Man Bites Dog, and I think for a while he was like doing some like work with the label, not just rapping type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you know what I'm saying. I had the chance to work with him, shit like that. I think we did like 2 songs, something like that. We did one on God Save the King, then we did one on Swashbucklers. I think it's a compilation and shit. But if I'm not, I'm pretty sure there's like 2 of them and shit. But yeah, man, that's one of my favorites, bro. Ever since the UN days, you know, the whole. You know, he was in Flip Mode.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, but a lot of people don't know he was in Flip Mode and shit. Like, This shit's crazy, man.
Yeah, Rock. I like him a lot. He's cool.
Super dope.
You talked earlier about how the hieroglyphics had a influence on your wordplay. How was it working with Casual?
Oh man, so Casual, well, that's one of my favorites. That was actually in person at Raw's crib. That was crazy, man. I got to meet, man, I know Fear Itself backwards and forwards. It helped me, you know what I'm saying? That thing helped me become a better MC. It was dope. It was dope, man. He was chill. He was laid back. Like I don't really trip off shit. The only time I really asked somebody for a picture was G-Rap. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was living in New York, you see people all the time. I really don't try to bother people like that because I don't like being, not that I'm being bothered, but I just don't want to do that if somebody's enjoying their time out of courtesy. But if it's somebody like somebody who's super had an impact on me, who I look up to before I knew how the background shit works in rap, like somebody who's like G-Rap, I had to like Kane. I would, if I saw Kane or Chris or Cool. I mean, actually, I've been with Kool Keith and shit. Like I've done shows with Kool Keith, and I got pictures with Kool Keith. So there you go. You know what I'm saying? But pioneers like that, like legends that really taught me a lot of shit and that I look up to like that, I have to ask for pictures and fan out and shit. But yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but it was dope working with Casual. Like it was real sick. He was there staying for like a little. He was staying at Raw's crib working on the album they did. Respect Game or Expect Flames, and I went through to drop my verse and shit. I was just happy to get on the record for real. And I also met like the other cats in Hyro, like A+ and those cats, like they had shows in Dayton and whatnot. So those are cats I grew up to, man, like really looking up to and shit, man. A+ is a very underrated producer, man. Every beat on every beat on 93 Till is crazy that he did. Like, I mean, even shit that he did on Extra Prolific's album in 20 minutes, that song, crazy. One
of my favorites that I wish was released was that Cab Fair.
Yeah, the Bob James, the Taxi shit.
Yeah.
That shit's classic. That was like the early days of the internet when you started hearing like demos and shit, like mixed other versions of songs and shit like that. That was dope.
No doubt. Well, The High Exalted 2 is out now.
Out, baby.
Can you talk a little bit about the decision to make a sequel 20 years later?
Man, you know what? I really wanted to go back to my roots. I wanted to get just to like raw MCing over mean ass beats. And I felt like that would be a good time to do it. I felt like it would recalibrate myself as an artist. And I wanted to see if I could do it, like the challenge of it. Like so many people who try to make sequels to shit. And I wanted to do it only if I felt like the shit was going to hold up. And nobody's complained yet. Like I was just talking to Ryan at the label, like, nobody said like, oh, you fucked it up or why'd you, like, not in a negative way. Like everybody's been fucking with it. So that was like the challenge in it and shit. And I wanted to do, once again, like I wanted to do what I would like an artist that I like to do. Like if somebody, like if Redman did Muddy Waters and really did it the right way, no offense, then everybody would lose their shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if Premier and Nas did that album they keep talking about, everybody would lose their shit. So I kind of wanted to do something, give the fans like some shit like that on some nostalgia shit. Like that's also why I got like Vordal on it. Like for the next installment that's about to come out, I got Breezely Brewing on it. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Mighty My, I got a bunch of Mighty My beats. So basically I'm trying to like do what I would want an artist to do that I like, but also make shit that I love. And sometimes an artist needs to recalibrate because I've done so much little experimental music and shit like that that I just that I want to just like get back to where I'm just doing basically what I call it is my Sean Price or my Doom, to where I just find the hottest beat I could get and just do the hottest rhymes I can over it. And it ain't nothing really to it. Like I don't really want to do all this extra shit. I just really want to do a bunch of shit that I like. That's like that. Like that's like the shit that I was making when we first started. You know what I'm saying? Because you get access to singers and shit and all this extra shit and live instrumentation. And sometimes you want to do too much shit just for the sake of doing it. And you know what I'm saying? Like when I go back and listen to my shit, the shit that I really like is like the more raw shit. So I just wanted to make more of that. I feel like there's not enough of that in the game. There is, but there needs to be more. You know, there can never be too much, you know?
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the producers on the album?
Yeah, it's basically Dub Sonata, who's done a lot of work with Man Bites Dog. Oh No, the first track is Oh No produced.
Nice.
Shout out to Oh No. What else? Real dope cat named Swab from overseas and shit. I always fuck up my geography, so I'm not sure exactly where he's from because I'm like that. But his shit's crazy. He just like he's been doing his shit. Like he's doing a lot of shit. You're gonna see his name a lot in the future. This kid named Swab, like SWAB. And what else? I got a beat on there that Kamut gave me and shit. And that's about it, man. I mean the album. Stu Bangers has a track on there too, but it's basically just 8 tracks. The next one's going to be 12 tracks. That makes 20 for the 20th anniversary, and we're basically just like, I got some surprises for my listeners, man. Basically, some good surprises. So it's a lot of good shit still coming out the end of this year. So they should be on the lookout.
Very dope.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let me ask you. So we're talking about your new album. What do you think about the way music is being put out these days? For example, you just had Kendrick Lamar, right? He just dropped a new album. Everybody's waiting 5 years or whatever that was.
Yeah.
5 years. And it seems like he came out and it's like it came and went almost. And then also Black Star, Sincere, we're talking about how everybody's waiting, then they come out and put it on some exclusive type of thing that you gotta purchase or whatever.
It's on Luminary. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, what how do you feel about the way things are moving now, and how does it affect you, or how do you move around all of that?
So like, all right, so it's crazy because in this day and age, everything is so quick. Like everybody has ADHD, short. I mean, like even if they're not clinically diagnosed, we all have short attention spans because there's so much shit to look at.
Yeah.
With the Kendrick thing, like it's like everybody. It's an amazing album, by the way. I love it. But that's how everybody is with everything, right? Like talk about it heavy for whatever until something else diverts your attention. Like remember everything was on the Will Smith slap. And then the dumbass Johnny Depp trial popped up. Everybody's talking about the girl.
The movie. You mean that movie that just happened?
Right. She put the turd in his bed, and everybody forgot about everything else that happened.
Yeah.
Forgot about the war in Ukraine.
Right. I was just gonna say that you haven't even heard nothing about Ukraine.
So I think it's smarter. Putting out more music and putting out smaller projects is kind of what I want to do because I've done big albums, long albums, and honestly, like critics complained and shit. And also, when you think about it, it's a lot of shit to digest. It could be it can make you not want to listen to it because I've been like that too. Like I don't want to listen to all that shit. So I think the best way to do it is true. And Beehive was telling me this back in the day. He was telling me about doing songs with only 2 verses. And doing 12-bar verses, which I can't do no 12-bar verse, man. You can barely get busy in the 16, but that's where I come from. I can't, I'm not really just writing songs. I got too much MC and shit in my DNA to where I could just, try and write a song. But but basically doing small increments of music, small doses of music, quicker amounts. Like instead of putting out a long ass album like Kendrick just put out the long album, he could have broke that up into 4 different EPs and put one out each quarter of the year. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like just shit like that. Because then you can spoon feed it to people. It doesn't, that's where I'm at. And I got that shit kind of sort of off of the shit that Kanye was doing with the 7-song albums. And also rock, not gonna lie, like the shit that rock, everybody's biting off of rock's blueprint for real, Rock Mars. Like a lot of people, not everybody, but I mean, that's what I'm doing. Just catering to your loyal fans, doing vinyl and shit and dope merch for them and just really not, you know what I'm saying? Like doing more projects, but with shorter amounts of songs, man. They're easier to digest. So that's how I feel about that. Because look what happened. Like you just said, he worked it's been 5 years since he dropped something. And then people act like, not saying that the general, that everybody on the buzz thing is what matters, but it just motherfuckers move on after a couple of days. What's the other one you asked me? Hold up. You asked me.
No. I was just
Black Star.
Black Star. With that, I think that's smart. That's smart. Okay, so that's a fine line, right? It's not easily accessible for everybody to get your shit and hear it. like there's only one song from the album. It's not even on the album. It's not the album version, because I heard the version like basically they're making it so you got to go to them for it. So I think it's smart. I think it's pros and cons though. You're not going to catch a casual listener that way, but I don't think they're doing it like that. I think they're just trying to make sure, because they've already got, that's the same station. They've got that Midnight Miracle podcast on with Dave Chappelle. Right. So I think we're building it up with that for this. Does Dave own Luminary?
I'm not sure who owns
Sure, he's
it,
got some hand in it.
Yeah.
I think it's pros and cons to everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's harder to find the music, but you know, at least you're gonna pay for it. The only drawback is a lot of people haven't heard it because of the fact it's on Luminary. But I think it's very smart what they're doing, man. And honestly, it reminds me of what Jay did with the Tidal thing when he puts like his own projects on certain things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to come to Tidal to get his shit. Like, I think that's smart. I think that's the future, because everybody else is just doing it, but they're doing it to us. You know what I'm saying? Spotify's doing it to us. Even though it's you do get your shit heard and all that, but at the end of the day, once you don't need to be heard anymore, you're just losing out on money, you know?
But
I think it's like
that's a whole nother conversation. I guess, you know what I mean?
But I think the future is to have your own platform, like how Black Star's doing, to be honest with you, because like people that want your shit is going to come to wherever you're at for it. So I think it's smart, man.
Do you think it's smart not to release physical copies as well?
No, I think it's smart to do it. I think CD and vinyl are necessary. Some people want a physical CD. I'm the type, I want a physical CD. You know, like I want the actual CD. Even if I keep losing it or keep scratching it up, I want the physical CD.
And you got to think about moving the culture forward. How are the DJs moving with, you know what I mean? Like, they can't play a stream, I guess. I mean, maybe they can, but I'm sure that's not the way they want to.
They can't. They absolutely can't. And see, that was always the problem with actual CDs, is it fucks up the DJ culture. Even though you see Serato and the CDJs and all that, that's basically a step just catering to technology. But for me, nothing's gonna beat vinyl. Like hip hop and all music. It should continuously come out on vinyl, which it actually is. Like a lot of shit, there's kind of a vinyl resurgence. But no, I don't think you can only do streams, man. I think there's pros and cons to everything. Like I keep saying, I think that the real thing, I think physical music is the most fun way to listen to it. But there's a lot of younger cats that never really even bought a physical copy of anything.
Right.
No.
But that's why I feel, for example, again, and we'll get off. But the Black Star situation, right now, there's so many, like, you have to get a subscription to so many different things these days if you want, you know, the content that they're providing on that whatever platform.
Right.
So then you have, like, you're waiting and you've been dying to hear a Black Star album, and they come and put it on something else now that you got to go and purchase amongst the already, you know what I mean, the ones that you already have. First of all, you don't even know if you're gonna really like it. You haven't heard anything, you know, like. Not for nothing, but why go and pay for that? You know what I'm saying? And have it amongst other apps that you have or other streaming platforms that you have. I'm just saying, like, it would have to be an artist that you really, really like.
You've got to really be like, you've got to really mess with that artist to do that. I know what you're saying, because that's like when I buy a Nintendo the Nintendo Switch for just Zelda and shit. I'm like, all I want is Zelda. Like, it's a commitment for sure. I know what you're saying. That's what I was saying before, in a way, like, you won't catch a casual listener. I mean, honest, I don't know, man. But you know what? Until the results come out from that, I can't really say anything, because it might just be really smart. But also look at who it is. It's Madlib. People who love Madlib, like, no matter what. Like, Madlib's fans know what they're going to get. And honestly, we all know it's going to be fire if Madlib's doing it. So I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I don't know. Right. They're trying to make sure that they're getting paid and shit.
I get that concept. I get the business and the, you know, I mean, and we all speak about that, right? We all speak about wishing to have your own platform that you can bring your fans and everything to you, instead of having to use like you were saying, like the Spotify's or these other platforms that are benefiting off of the artists and all of that. I mean, we always talk about it, so I get that side of it.
Yeah.
But then as a fan, it's just like, man, I want to get the vinyl. Let me get let me, and I don't know.
Are they doing physicals also, or is it just
not right now?
Not
But
now.
you would think as their core audience, that's the first people you want to take care of. You know what I mean? Like they come from that era where it's been physical. Like, let me take care of the core audience, and then, but they may, like you said, when the numbers come out, we may be like, oh, I see why they did that.
You gotta have, you gotta have physical no matter what. That's how I feel about it. So, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a smart move, but you've also got to have physical too. Because like what you're saying, like even me, I like to buy a lot of my vinyl. I've never even opened. Like I've got 12s at the crib. I collect vinyl. A lot of my hip hop, I'm not opening. Like some of my classic, like there's a couple Beach Boys albums I'm not opening. I know what's on that record, but I don't open it because I don't need to hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
but it's the satisfaction of having the physical copy.
Yeah, and even some of my shit when it's on vinyl, I love it. I don't get excited about CDs. I don't.
Right.
Why would you? It's just a CD. But vinyl, you get excited about.
No doubt.
It's like an experience. So physical, you definitely got to have, man.
Right.
But at the same time, I think it is smart if they could. When they're physical, I think they're gonna do physical. But if they get both of that, then you got a winning combination. But I'm pretty sure they're on it, man. They're look who you're dealing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just super early, and they're doing some futuristic shit super early, and it may not look like it's covering all the grounds at first.
Right. You talked a little bit about the project with Nico Is and Jay Rawls. What else does Copywrite have coming up in 2022?
Shit, man, I've got a beat album coming out in a couple months, so that'll probably be the next thing I drop. But besides that, just Scene B of the High Exalted 2, which, like I said, it's I wanted to put this album out in 2 parts. The first reason was so that it would sound better on vinyl, and we wouldn't have a bunch of songs on vinyl. But like it makes sense now to break it up into 2 parts, because the first one has 8 songs, the second one's gonna have 12. You know what I'm saying? Which is 20, and also the 20th anniversary. So numerically it makes sense, but also it's more songs. I was able to see, like, even though I put out this short ass album, I seen that the fans kind of wanted a couple more songs. So I'm gonna fine tune it and put like 12 on there. So that's basically what I've got. I got some other like collaborative projects in the works, but I really don't want to speak about them too early. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather get out the shit that I've got on the plate now. But yeah, even some of this shit probably won't drop till next year, like the Nico Is Jay Rawls project and shit.
Right. Maybe we can have all you guys back on and talk about it at some point.
For sure, man. For sure.
For all those yearning for a physical copy of your latest album, or just maybe stream, where can they find that project at?
Go to Man Bites Dog Bandcamp, right? Or go to my Instagram and basically just click the link and shit. But ultimately, you're going to Bandcamp, and it's Man Bites Dog, MANBITESDOG. You can find it, man. You guys are smart kids, man. You guys are fine. You got so much confidence.
Hey, when you shout out your social media and where everybody can keep up with Copywrite at?
Yeah. I really don't fuck with Twitter too much, but check me out on Twitter, Copywrite614, or check me out on Instagram, which is Copywrite78, Copywrite Emcee78, Copywrite _EMCEE78.
It's right there in case you forgot your own Instagram. you can read it off right here.
Yo, look at it, baby. Top of the world, huh? Yeah. Yo, I appreciate it, man.